Hi there, my name is Jennifer Wolf and I am Coordinator for Career Counseling in the Office of Career Services. I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about informational interviewing, why you'd want to do it, what they are, and how you can learn more about your career and job opportunities and build your professional network through the use of this type of strategy. Okay? So informational interviewing, you might have heard the term before, want to learn more, but basically it's an opportunity where you're initiating the meeting. You're the one that's asking the questions. And you do this with someone who is in the field that you're interested in working in, or maybe learning more about a particular graduate program. The list kind of goes on, but it's a professionally oriented interview where you set up those questions and set up that opportunity to meet with somebody and learn more. It is not meant to be a job interview, however. This is where a lot of people get tripped up. The goal of this is to simply, you want to know more in terms of advice from somebody who's been there, who's had to work through maybe some of the steps or some of the education to get where they are today. And you want to get that advice about what you should do as a student or somebody new in the field. You're wanting information maybe about job opportunities, maybe company strategy, maybe where the company might be going, if there's some new developments within that organization, for example, and maybe if they're going to have an internship program, or if they're seeing that they're going to hire people, coming up in the next year, things of that nature. But you're not asking for a job, and it's not a job interview. And then finally, you're wanting to do this interview in a way that leaves a good lasting impression with this person. Here again, this is a way to build your professional network. Hopefully this is not somebody you talk with one time over coffee or over lunch and you don't talk to them again. You want to make sure that you follow up and you're leaving a good impression with this person for taking the time out of their day to talk with you. And in order to do this well, in order to make that good impression, it is going to require some preparation on your part. This is not something where, you call somebody up and you ask them if you can talk with them, and then you launch into, a bunch of questions that you might not have prepared. So yeah, you're going to want to research the company, maybe do a little bit of homework, maybe on that particular person. You're going to want to prepare and conduct yourself well during the interview. Show up on time, for example. Have things at the ready if you're, say, meeting somebody, giving them good directions, things of all that nature. And then afterwards, the follow-up, making sure that you maintain that connection, thanking them for their time through a thank you note, things along those lines. Okay? So why would you even want to do this? Sounds like a lot of work. It sounds scary, perhaps, but thinking about it in this way, it's an excellent way for you to explore careers. If you're trying to navigate what am I going to do with my major, if there's a lot of different careers that you could potentially do, it's a good way to talk to people who've been there and get their perspective. The counselors like myself in the Career Services Office, we can really help to shed some light on some things, but we're not working as nurses, we're not working as accountants, we're not exercise science people or pre-med majors or anything like that. And so it's a good way for you to get firsthand account of some of the things and the strategies that you need to think about and consider. And then it's also a good way for you to clarify career goals. If you talk to these people and you kind of come away from these interviews and you think, man, I don't know if this is really what I want to do, or, oh, I never thought about this being an opportunity. It's a way for you to be able to pivot and clarify your career goals before you graduate. And so you're not doing that work after the fact, you're doing it while you're still a student. So it's a way to be proactive. You can access that insider information. It's people, like I said, that are working maybe in the job that you want someday. And so getting an ability to ask those questions of somebody who has had to take those steps, has had to sort of, whether it's climbing that career ladder, so to speak, or had to go through a graduate program, maybe suggestions for that, had to do a series of maybe internships, whatever it might be. That ability to talk to somebody who's been there is really, really valuable and important. And then finally, like I said, it's a way for you to expand your professional network. It's somebody that you might not have known otherwise, and can now be a contact for you and somebody who you might reach out to when there is a job opportunity at their organization. You can use this person as a potential reference, perhaps. And so there again, a good way to start expanding that professional network. And then identifying those characteristics that are valued in this industry that you're thinking about going into. You know, here again, this person may or may not have the ability to hire, but they know what the company is looking for. And so you can ask those questions of what makes a strong candidate, what do they see as things that they like to see in fellow coworkers, you know, things of that nature. All right, so how do I go about doing this? How do you get started with all of this? So start with your inner circle. You know, yeah, you might not think that your friends or your family or your friends of your family are a part of your network, but they are, and they're a good place for you to start. As well, not only to just practice what interviewing feels like, these information interviews feel like, but also, you know, if your dad's got a coworker or your mom knows somebody who works in a particular area that you might be thinking about going into, that's a way for you to introduce yourself to that person. So it opens that up versus they're warm, what they call warm contacts versus a completely cold contact. You know, somebody who you don't know, you don't have any reference point that you can say, hey, you know, so-and-so told me to contact you. Other ways are obviously faculty. They know a lot of people that are in the field, and so it's a good way for you to get those introductions that way too. And then when you think about how you're going to contact these people, you know, typically this day and age, you're contacting them through email. You might pick up the phone and call them. You know, maybe 9 times out of 10, you might be leaving a message with somebody over the phone. But, you know, you're asking to arrange that meeting. And with this request, you're wanting to be clear and concise as possible in what you're wanting. I'll talk a little bit about an example of that here in a minute. And then finally, after you get that initial, you know, request for that meeting and you get it established that you're going to go in, you want to prepare some thoughtful questions. You don't want to say, here again, this is an interview you're conducting. So you don't want to go into this expecting that they're going to just divulge a bunch of information. So research that person. Look them up on LinkedIn, get a little bit of an idea about their background in terms of places that they might have worked, or if they're an alum of CMO, for example, you can use that as a connecting point and as a sticking point. And then also researching the company, researching the types of jobs that they have. Here again, even if they don't have anything available, you still want to know a little bit about what this person does all day. So you can ask more pointed questions about that experience for them. And then when you go to the interview, here again, yes, it's not a job interview, but you want to present yourself professionally, because on the back end of this, what you're gaining is not a professional contact. And so you want to present yourself in as professional a manner as possible. So dress professionally, dress like you would if you were going on an interview. You know, at the very least, wear sort of a nice pair of like casual dressier pants and maybe like a polo or a button down or a nice blouse with a blazer, you know, something along those lines. And then bring your content with you. Bring a copy of your resume. If you have a portfolio, if you're in more of a creative field, for example, bring examples of your work. You know, because you never know, that person might ask you for your resume and you want to be able to have it, want to be able to present it. So be prepared with some of your documents as well. All right, so I told a little bit about, we were going to show an example of this. So in email, say you get a faculty member and you say, hey, I'm looking for more information about this. Is there anybody that I could talk to? And they give you some suggestions and you reach out to these people. This is an example of how you would structure this. So with this email, right off the bat, the subject line, request for an informational meeting. You want to be clear and concise in what this is all about when they see this in their inbox. You don't want to say something very vague like want to meet or can I talk with you or something along those lines, because to be quite frank, they might think it's spam and not even open it. So request for informational meeting. You know, you greet them with a dear Ms., Mr., Doctor, you know, be professional in that as well. And then here again, I'm not going to break this down and read through it, but you know, Rowdy Red Hawk, a professor suggested I contact you there right away. I'm getting information about how you came to emailing me, because I know Rowdy Red Hawk and you know Rowdy Red Hawk, so that's the connection. You know, and then the second paragraph, is where you're explaining why you're sort of writing to them, and you know, giving some idea about who you are. You're a current econ student, for example. You've got these different areas that you're interested in, but you're wanting to talk with me about kind of honing in on that a little bit more. And that, you know, how as me being a broker, I can talk a little bit more about some of these different aspects of careers with economics. And then here, third paragraph, short and sweet, to the point. Thank you for your time. I'd be available for a meeting, and if you'd be interested, please contact me via phone or email. And then, you know, ending that information with the sincerely. And what I really encourage a lot of you to do is to create this area where you identify yourself, you know, your major, and then your contact information reiterated again. And so that will go on every one of your emails that you might send out. It's a good strategy when you're in that phase of job searching, internship search, things like that. So here again, this is a short and sweet, concise. I know what this person's requesting, and what they're wanting to know a little bit more about. And so, you know, hopefully we could set up a time to meet if I was going to be an interviewer in this, or an employer in this case. Now, for you, you get this opportunity. Yay! You're going to go meet them for coffee for 30 minutes or whatever. So some of the types of questions that you might ask, you know, these are some different ones. They carry over in a lot of different areas, you know, things like your typical day, a little bit of background information about them in terms of maybe what their college major was, types of experiences that they might have had, what they like or don't like about their job, you know, and then you could kind of get into those skills areas, experiences, what they look for in recent grads, what they like to see in new hires, you know, in the first 60 days or whatever, as well as just information about the industry in terms of the hiring, whether it's the company or it's the industry in general. You know, what does that hiring timeline or pipeline look like? What do people do when they start in this position, and how do they move into other areas? And then finally, the one at the very bottom, the who else would you suggest I speak to? That's a great way for you to do this again, you know, go on more informational interviews, continue to build your professional network and those contacts within an industry. You know, if you can't meet with them, maybe at least find them on LinkedIn, you know, and establish a connection that way. And so here again, just more ways for you to build knowledge base about the areas of the careers that you're going after and people that you can connect with. And informational interviewing is a good strategy for that. Another example of this part of it. So this is an example of maybe introducing a question. So, you know, you have Todd here, he's a psychology major. He reached out to Maria, who's a clinical social worker, which is a pathway that psychology can go through advanced training, master's program, and things like that. But, you know, here he is. You've been in the social work industry for 10 years, and I understand you work for X, Y, and Z companies. So he's done his homework on her a little bit. Could you tell me how you started out and how you got where you are today? And so getting to know a little bit about her timeline and the things that she did and experiences that she had to be able to do what she's doing right now. So in follow-up, what do you do? The interview's over with, you've had good things, you've exchanged contact information, you know, things of that nature. What do you do afterwards? First things, congratulate yourself. Give yourself a pat on the back. You know, you reached out. Networking is hard. It's not a one day or an overnight process. It takes a lot of work, and it's not something that, you know, people make you do or tell you to do. You have to be proactive in doing it. And so congratulate yourself that you were able to do one of these meetings and set that up. You know, always express appreciation for anyone in the process. Follow up, say thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your insight. Thank you for, you know, wanting to connect with me more, whatever it might be, or a combination of all three. You know, because that appreciation is going to go a long way if you do need to reach out to that person for a potential reference or a potential, you know, help me navigate into the world of working for you all at some point in time if you see an opening, for example. And like I said, stay in touch with the contact. You want to make sure that they become a part of your network, but you do want to keep a balance on this. You want to set some boundaries. You know, you're not going to contact this person every week or even every month, you know, but making sure that, you know, here and there, and it's not just sort of a reach out and say hello, but maybe you read an article that spurs, you know, something that you talked about with this person. So you send them the copy of the article and you say, hey, I was reading up on this and it reminded me of our conversation that we had when we met. Thank you again for meeting with me and for staying in touch. You know, I hope you're well. So it's things like that that come across every so often. Now, if you know you go on one of these meetings and the conversation does turn to, hey, we're going to have internships or we're going to have full-time openings coming up, you know, in the next couple months, or we're going to be hiring, please send me your resume or send me your information, then yeah, follow up with them and maybe it will be a little bit more frequent. You know, maybe it will turn to more conversations about potential interviews. But you want to not start with that. You don't want to start with, I'm looking for a job, will you hire me? You want to start with, this is the career path or this is the industry that I'm interested in, and what advice do you have? What information can you share? Because you want to show enthusiasm for what you're going to be doing and how you could add value, not I'm wanting you to interview me for a job at this stage. So it's a little bit about just the follow-up and the follow-through. And yeah, you know, finally, I said a lot about networking today, but keep building that network. Here again, asking them for an additional contact and then you reaching out to that person. That will quickly build your network. If you make a short goal for yourself of, hey, I'm going to go on 3 informational interviews this semester and I'm going to try to meet with 6 people as a result of it or something like that. You'd be surprised how quickly your network will build if you make those tiny goals for yourself. All right, so when it comes to meetings, we are more than happy in Career Services to help you with any type of interviewing, whether it's these informational interviews, whether it's preparation for your interviews that you might be going on for jobs or internships. So let us help. Our contact info is listed here. You can reach out to us via phone, schedule an appointment, find more of our information out there on our website, or send us an email if you've got a question. All right, thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you later. Bye.